Okay guys, let's try to simplify and contextualize volume and rep ranges in relation to hypertrophy. So you've probably seen the sort of rep range continuum in a textbook or in school, or if you're interested in this type of stuff, where it shows that 1 to 5 reps is best for strength, 6 to 12 is like the hypertrophy range, and 12 or 15 plus is sort of more strength endurance or local endurance adaptation training. And in an isolated sense, if you're doing only one set, that's true, but there's more nuance to it. For example, how close you are to failure, how many reps in reserve you have, and also, of course, the total volume or the total effective volume. And what I mean by effective volume is sort of how many reps are performed where the higher threshold fibers, the type 2 fibers, are actually being recruited, which those type of fibers have the best potential for muscle gain. So for lower reps, you obviously get better strength gains. There's more neural adaptation, and you don't get this acidosis or burn or pain that can stop you from doing the set, but you have to do more sets to get a sufficient volume in to stimulate hypertrophy. As for the and also, with the lower rep sets, where you have maybe, let's say, 80 plus or 85 plus percent of your 1 rep max, higher intensities, that's going to recruit the higher threshold fibers from the get-go, from the first rep. Meanwhile, the higher rep sets, there you actually have to go closer to muscular failure to recruit those higher threshold fibers. And that can be a pain, quite like literally. So there are pros and cons to each one. And just to contextualize volume a bit more, there was a study done by Brad Schoenfeld in 2014, I think, where he had one group perform 7 sets of 3, so 3 rep training, lower reps, and the other group did 3 sets of 10, so a bit higher, and the volume was equated, so the total tonnage was pretty similar. And what they found was that the muscle gain between the two groups was also similar, but the lower rep group, they made better strength gains. But as you can imagine, that would take much more time to complete doing a whole 7 sets. The participants also mentioned more so some joint discomfort in the 3 rep group. And lower reps, while they are not inherently risky or make you prone to injury, as long as you warm up and do it with good form, etc., there is something to be said about higher intensities putting more stress on connective tissue and joints. So the big positive thing was, of course, the higher rep group made the same gains in just a fraction of the time. So it was much more time efficient doing 3 sets of 10. There is scientific evidence to support that hypertrophy can occur in a wide range of reps, in a wide rep range. So all the way down to maybe not 1 or 2 reps, you're gonna have to do a lot of sets. But like strictly in the theoretical sense, you could do even 2 rep sets. You just have to do more sets. But my main point is you can gain muscle from all the way down to like 2 reps up to 30 reps. But there are pros and cons to doing both. With the low reps, you obviously have to do more sets. With the higher reps, you have to go closer to failure to actually recruit those higher threshold fibers. And the thing about doing higher rep training is the discomfort and the pain and the burn and the acidosis, which might actually hinder you from actually achieving true muscular failure. Also, there's a cardiovascular component to it, so that can also definitely stop you from completing a higher rep set. And as I said, it's true in a strictly like theoretical and physiological sense that you can gain muscle in such a wide spectrum of reps. But the classical 8 to 12 or 6 to 12, you can even argue down to 5 to 12 reps, is probably the most efficient and effective way to train in the real world in a practical sense, because for each set, let's say you're doing 8 reps, the intensity is still quite high, around 80% of your 1RM, and that's gonna quite quickly activate and recruit all those higher threshold fibers, and you're also gonna accumulate volume to a much higher degree per set compared to doing doubles or 3 rep sets. So it's gonna be time efficient, and it's gonna be sort of these effective reps where those higher threshold fibers are actually being recruited. So it's an interesting topic, but to just summarize, arguably, if your main goal is to build some strength whilst also building muscle, 5 to 12 or 6 to 12 reps is probably the sweet spot for most exercises. Obviously, isolation work, you can go a bit higher. One more thing I would like to add is that the medium rep range or the hypertrophy range will also give you strength compared to doing like 30 reps. So it will be much easier to actually add weight onto the bar or increase the weight. And while there definitely is a volume component to training, you have to sort of achieve a total amount of sufficient effective reps. The main driver of muscle gain is mechanical tension overload. So you have to get stronger. You can't just, keep squatting or benching 135 for any given amount of reps and just increase the volume. You actually have to add weight to the bar as well. So if you haven't gotten stronger in a year from now, you probably won't be much bigger.